Good morning. This is the sixth video, the sixth vacation video. This is on the Rambam Hilchos Talmud Torah. Good morning. And we are on Parak Aleph Halacha Yud Gimel. This is a difficult, if not because of today's times, controversial halacha. It's Parak Aleph Halacha Yud Gimel, and it talks about a woman learning Torah. Now, if you remember when we talked about who was exempt from learning Torah and who was obligated from learning Torah, we said that men are obligated in learning Torah and women are exempt from learning Torah. Now, women are exempt from many of the mitzvahs that we see, especially ones that are time-bound. Talmud Torah is not, it could be considered a time-bound mitzvah, but there are many reasons why women are exempt from Talmud Torah. This is not the time nor the place to discuss them. But the Rambam talks about now if a woman does learn Torah. Now, as women, just because they're not obligated to learn Torah doesn't mean that they're forbidden from learning Torah, just like they're not obligated to sit in a sukkah, but they're not forbidden from sitting in a sukkah. Right? I mean, women have the option of doing mitzvahs that they're not obligated in. And that's the idea. That's how the Rambam opens up here. And then the Rambam goes on to discuss if you do teach a woman Torah, is that a good thing or a bad thing? So let's see what the Rambam says. Isha shlamda Torah yesh la schar, aval eino k'schar ha'ish. Women that learn Torah have reward, but they don't have the same reward as a man. Now you might say, well, what's the difference? Both of them are learning Torah. Well, we have a rule that, and this is what the Rambam alludes to in this rule. He says, "Mipnei shelo nitztaves," because they're not obligated. V'chol osa davar she'eino mitzvah elav lasoso ein scharo k'schar hamitzvah she'asa ela pachos mimeno. Right? So the Rambam says that, and this is from a Mishnah in Kiddushin that we learn that anybody that does a mitzvah that they're not obligated in doesn't have as much reward as somebody who does a mitzvah that they are obligated in. Right? So someone that does a mitzvah that they're obligated in has a greater reward than someone that doesn't. So it has nothing to do with men or women. It has to do with if you have a mitzvah that you're obligated in, right? So there, your reward is greater than if you do a mitzvah that you're not obligated in. Okay? The Rambam says, "V'afal pi sheyesh schar, tzivu chachamim shelo yilmod adam es bito Torah." So even though a woman does have reward for learning Torah, the chachamim said that we shouldn't teach our daughters Torah. Okay, now hold on. Why? So the Rambam states what seems to be a principle, and I'd like to explain this principle, at least the way I understand it. The Rambam says because most women, their minds are not ready, their minds are not ready, or they're not set to learn Torah. Right, and therefore, what happens is that when they do learn the Torah, they take it and they change it into meaningless ideas. Okay, and that's obviously something that we're trying to avoid when we learn Torah. Now, Amru Chacham and Kol Ma'amed is Dito Torah Kilu Lamda Tiflos. The Chacham go ahead and say that whoever does teach their daughter Torah, it's as if they've taught them nothingness, or even going so far as promiscuity. But this is all referring, when we say all, this idea of not teaching women Torah is all referring to Torah Shebal Peh. About Torah Shebechtav, but the written Torah, lo yumod osa l'chachila, you shouldn't teach her ideally. But if you do teach her Torah Shebechtav, that's not as if you've taught her Tiflos. Now what's going on here? Because many of the people watching this video are women, and by fact that I'm teaching you this, I'm teaching you Talmud Torah, so obviously something must be going on here. And this is how I understand the Rambam's ideas and our Chachamim's ideas. I can't tell you it's 100% correct, and I can't tell you everybody would agree with me, but this is what I understand it. I don't think it's taking a psychological principle about women. I think that this is talking about how women used to be taught in society. In society, the way it used to be, women didn't learn on a high intellectual level. They didn't study, whether it was secular subjects or Torah subjects. There was no educational system set up, a public educational system that women were able to avail themselves of. Right? That's a newfound concept that we find in today's times, that women are given higher education, and as such, the general tradition, or the general sociological norm, was that women were generally simply taught life's principles by their mothers, or their older sisters, or their grandmothers. And that's generally how it went. So if you then took higher education and gave it to a woman whose mind wasn't set for it, meaning they didn't have the proper methodological training for it, they weren't ready for it, and they didn't understand it, and therefore they would take the ideas and twist them because they didn't understand how to understand them properly. While today's times, this is what I would say, is that since women are given the opportunity for higher education, the exact same equal opportunities as men, therefore their minds are set. And this principle, the Rambam says, Ein daita mechuvenes. Their minds are not put in the proper mind frame for it, doesn't apply today, and therefore there's no problem. I have proper backing for this, but the Rav Soloveitchik felt that women could learn Gemara and Torah Shabbat Peh, and there was no issue. So that's my opinion. Take it or leave it. But that's my opinion. But the question I'd like to ask you is, why do you feel? Is my question to you. Why do you feel that somebody that isn't commanded in an idea, right? Somebody that isn't commanded in a mitzvah has less of a reward than someone that is? That's our principle, right? We said that somebody that is not commanded in a mitzvah has less of a reward than someone that is, even though they both fulfill the exact same mitzvah. Why is that so? I look forward to your answers. Have a great day.